All right, hi, my name's Mel Houghton and welcome to the Big Q. Today I've got Ralph Anania on the line with me today. Ralph is one of Australia's leading business education experts and he's spent over 30 years running his own nationally recognised businesses and has built and sold over 26 multi-million dollar companies, one of them exceeding over $130 million in annual revenue and raised over $300 million in capital for various business acquisitions. Now, Ralph is renowned for his ability to turn ailing businesses into finely tuned, profitable enterprises. And with his credible business knowledge and expertise, he now plays an important role as an executive business coach and mentoring CEOs and senior executives of companies who are focused on improving their development of strategies to increase millions of dollars to their company's bottom line. With his real-life, real-world experience in developing and implementing his own successful business brands and continually helping others establish their own successful businesses, he created the Boost Your Business curriculum, a widely recognized, practical, and easy-to-adapt business coaching program designed to help business owners grow their business and overcome the many challenges that the economy dishes out to small to medium enterprises every single day and create not just successful but sustainable business models, which I love. Ralph's years of experience and learning from his own mentors and business coaching executives around the globe has also provided him with the opportunity to develop a highly sought after international speaking career. As a seasoned international speaker, Ralph has delivered trainings on various business topics to audiences all over the world and has co-authored the book Millionaire Mentors, which has become an international bestseller. Cool. Ralph is blessed with a beautiful wife of 24 years, 3 beautiful children, and enjoys flying helicopters in his spare time, up high where no one could bug him. And I remember the first time Ralph shared that with me. I know my brother's a helicopter pilot, and I don't know if he's connected with you yet, but see if we can get you up and from, I don't know where you, do you go up at Bankstown Airport? Is that where you go up from? Yeah. My brother works out there, so he does maintenance on the aircrafts and he flies them as well. I just thought that was a nice connection. What I love most about Ralph is his big heart and his stellar integrity. I am very blessed to call Ralph a dear mentor of mine and also a dear friend. So welcome to our presentation today, Ralph.
Thank you, Mel. Always an absolute pleasure. I love talking to you. I love being in your space, and I love what you do.
Okay, well, thank you. So, I guess that little introduction, or big introduction, pretty much sets the tone and covers everything. But just for people who haven't met you before, just maybe share a little bit about what you do and probably what's important to you as well.
Yeah, sure. Look, I spent all of my life growing up in the fresh produce industry and worked before and after school in the business and on weekends. And it's strange because I had somebody come up to me at the last event that I did a few weeks ago in New Zealand, and they said, it must have been really hard as a kid growing up and having to work before and after school and on weekends and missing out on sports activities. But reality is that when you look back now, it seems that it was hard, but it was just our way of life. We didn't know any different. I mean, we weren't underprivileged. It was just part of life. Our parents worked hard to put food on the table, and we were part of that. Running a small business was a family affair in those days, and I still think it is in a lot of ways today. But looking back, I guess the only thing that I really missed out on was the sports side of it, because I love to play sport, and I wasn't able to do it as much as I would have liked to. But one of the things that I really am grateful for and I'm blessed is the fact that I was able to understand what becoming a real entrepreneur is all about at a very, very young age, and didn't realise it at the time until many, many years later. And some of the lessons that I learned from my dad, from being by his side for many, many years in trading with wholesalers and suppliers, has stood me well for years and years. And one of the most important lessons that he's taught me in life is that if you want to be respected, you have to respect first, and don't ever compromise on integrity. And I've never forgotten those things. And it's important. And a lot of people say, well, yes, it's okay for you. You've built a big business, and you can get up there and present and tell your story the way it is. But what about us that don't have a big business? Well, that's a good point. But I started a business from zero, so from
Yeah.
scratch. I didn't wake up and one day and I automatically had this massive business, or it was never handed to me either. You know, a lot of people think that the business was handed from my parents, but it actually wasn't. My parents had sold their business, and my dad, whilst he was still in the game, took on farming, which we still have the farm today, but he doesn't work it anymore, as a break from retail. For a couple of years, and during that time, I then went out and acquired my first business at the ripe old age of 20, and it was a fruit market in the northern suburbs of Sydney. It was turning over about $500,000 a year, and within a few years, we had become one of the biggest. When I say we, my brothers and myself had become one of the biggest independent fruit markets in Sydney. And we had a turnover of close to 10 million at that stage out of one store.
Yeah.
So, and it was all built, you know, really there were two things that contributed, and one was definitely quality, the quality of the product, and we never compromised on quality. And the other was customer care, customer experience. We were just known to be the very best at giving the best possible service, not just the service, but the experience that our clients had when they dealt with us was super important, and I've lived my entire life like that, and it's just something that is lost today. I see it so much in businesses across many different industries where customer service is just a loosely used phrase that is not taken as seriously as it should be, because we just have to look at some of the businesses out there that do provide outstanding customer excellence regardless. Companies like Apple, for example, that is their DNA. I mean, that's what their business thrives on. The product is one thing, but it's the experience that people leave the store with that makes them keep coming back. And that's what I do. I live my life that way. So that's a little bit about me.
Okay, cool. Thank you. So for the people watching, I say there's a lot of gems, especially for people who are, small business owners there. You can definitely learn a lot from Ralph. I know I personally have. A few gems in there as well. What I like is I've noticed this trend a lot is there's the people who are exceptionally good at something usually have, not always, but usually have quite an early start. And I didn't know that about you, that you were right in the midst of things with your dad when you were growing up as a teenager. It's interesting to say that you mentioned that you missed out on the sporting side of things. Because I was doing the sporting side of things, I feel like I missed out on some of the other skills, which would be like going out and working and getting, being a bit more social in the world. And instead I had my head looking up and down a black line for 4 hours a day. So It's just interesting how we see that. How do you think that early experiences really set you up, especially for that first business that you had?
Oh, look, it's made the difference by far.
Mm-hmm.
We started trading, at a very, very young age. I mean, when I say young age, I mean, I was like 3 and 4 when I was heading off to the city markets with my dad, at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. And as a kid, you're a sponge. So you actually, you're taking all that information in, and you don't realize until years later what it actually means to have that knowledge. And then when you're in your own business and you're confronted with some of the day-to-day challenges, they were never a real issue because I had seen my father deal with those similar issues, and therefore I was able to handle it, quite successfully. One of the things that I didn't mention, and look, and I guess it's important for your viewers and everybody needs to know, because this is part of who I am and what I've done, is that over the 30 years that I've had my own businesses, I've come close to bankruptcy 3 times.
Yeah.
I've been bankrupt because I've always found a solution to forge forward, but it hasn't always been roses and daisies, so to speak. It's all there has been some challenging times, and one of the greatest lessons in life is when you overcome a challenge, the growth that you get out of that. Mm-hmm. And every time, I was confronted with challenges and brushed very closely with bankruptcy, it enabled me to grow to another level, to a whole new level. And I never set out one day to grow a massive business and think that I was going to turn over $100 million. But it happened because we continually kept tweaking and changing and adjusting and moving forward with the times. One of the most important factors in today's economic environment, we live in a fast-paced world, and a lot of small businesses especially just get used to doing things the same way.
Yeah.
And things get outdated fairly quickly today, and if you stay abreast of it all, you'll become very successful. And if you don't, you become complacent. And when you become complacent is when you really need to worry, because your competitors will just go straight past you.
Yeah.
And that was sort of one of the things that that I guess I've enjoyed in my business career, is that I've always been a leader, an inspirational leader, and a leader in the industry, in always challenging the status quo. If somebody said to me, this is how we've done it forever, I'd say that's great, but we need to move forward, and progress is going to happen whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
If you stay still, the world's going to progress past you. So you may as well jump on the progressive bandwagon and grow your business at the same time. So very, very grateful, and I believe that it's one of the founding factors of my successes over the years is the grounding that I had from a very young age.
Absolutely. I know I've one of the common things I've heard from people who are in a bit of a different mindset is like, oh, that's all well and good for you, Mel. You're an athlete. It's like, and they saw me compete. I was ranked top 10 in the world by the time I was 16 for the sprint butterfly events. But what they didn't see was the 8 years of swimming up and down a black line 4 hours a day that went into it before I got to that point. So it's interesting that and one of the things that I think is so essential, especially, it's in anything, to be a master of any skill, including business, which what you've just shared, I think, is highlighted really well, is you've got to put in the time. You've got to put in the time. You've got to, in swimming, you've got to do the miles. And that nothing beats real world in the mud business experience. I don't think you can learn from all the books and you want, but until you've been in business, I think I almost went bankrupt twice in the first 5 years of starting my own business as well. But when you're committed and you believe in what you're doing, you always find a way to get through it, and you learn things from that. And absolutely, like even though I've got nothing in the realm of your experience, even though having those experiences now, I'm more prepared and handling the things that happen now. So I think you can't beat anything for real world experience. So from the people watching, I'd say is, don't be afraid to get your hands dirty a little bit in your business, because you can learn so much from it. And I value growth a lot as well. And I know the value in that growth and that challenge. And I think people who want to be in a business or want to start a business but haven't yet, for them just knowing that it isn't sunshine and rainbows. There's a positive and negative to every experience that we have, and business is no exception to that as well. You got to be ready for the challenges as much as anything else. Absolutely.
One of the things that I teach in my Boost Your Business program is that you've got to be prepared and ready for the challenges that may come to you. And there's an element of risk management. And if you identify what could go wrong, when you may be faced with that challenge, you're already prepared and know how to address it, and therefore it won't become a disaster. It'll be just a stumbling block. A lot of people aren't prepared, and then it becomes a disaster. So, and that's what I like about what I do as well, Mel. I didn't go to uni, so therefore I teach, when I do my events, I teach them to basic business people that haven't gone to uni. And most people that are in business and haven't gone to uni don't want to sit in a course that is going to be like a lecture at university. So my events are real life, and as I say, and you've participated, so you know what it's like. It's taking real life business situations and learning from the experiences that I've had over the years, and teaching the stories that are behind them. So it's done in a way that people can follow it easy and adapt to it, and are able to connect to the stories that I have experienced, because there's a mile of stories that I've experienced. So I love sharing those stories because they have a certain element of of connection with people who have gone through similar challenges, not necessarily as big, but it doesn't matter, because you see, whilst I grew a business to 130 plus million, somebody that's got $100,000 business, to them, their challenges are just as big as some of the challenges that I went through, and you should never put a money value to it. And people say to me the same, as you said earlier, it's okay for you, you've had a massive business, but it took me 25 years to get there.
Yeah.
And a lot of scars, let me tell you.
Yeah, that heal eventually.
Oh yes, absolutely. Well, that's the thing too. See, pain can be overcome, and I say, and in business there are challenges, and as there is in training, especially for yourself, because I bet you there was many times where you were in so much pain swimming down that black dot along that line. And I say to people, pain will subside, pain will go away, but when you give up, that's permanent.
Absolutely.
Giving up is permanent, and
giving up is permanent pain.
Well, it is. That's exactly right. Yes, and look, doesn't matter what challenges, there is always a solution if you look for the solution. So and that's what makes you grow. Unfortunately, and I say this, and it's a very dear subject of mine, and we're brought up in a world where we're taught at school a couple of things. One, we're not to make mistakes.
Yeah.
In life, how do you learn? You learn from making mistakes. Right? So that's one of the areas that's a bit of a bugbear. And the other one is that we're taught that practice makes perfect.
Yes.
And yes, but only perfect practice makes perfect.
Yes.
If you practice something day in, day out, and it's wrong, it'll become perfect. You'll just be practicing how to do it wrong better. That's all.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the issue as well. And look, and it still happens today. My children are still at school, so I hear them come home from school, and it was funny. Just only a few weeks ago, my middle daughter, who is an overachiever in her own right, she's just a natural. She came home and she said, we've got a do-it-yourself maths teacher, because she just throws them the information and says, now go home and do it. Without explaining what needs to be done. So we've now had to get her a maths tutor, because she excels, and we want to make sure that she's fed, because she's hungry for the information. But this is a problem in general with with schooling, and I've seen it all over the world in different countries. Some more evident than others, but in life in general, we learn from our mistakes. We don't want to make those same mistakes twice. And we take the experience from those mistakes and turn them into a positive, because there's massive lessons to be had. But if you continually look at a mistake as a failure, then you'll never move forward. A mistake is just merely a lesson, and if you learn from the lesson, you'll achieve and you'll become successful regardless. There's always a solution, Mel, as I say all the time, and you've seen me say this. Everyone generally not everyone, I shouldn't say everyone, but a lot of entrepreneurs that I've seen in business generally focus on a problem when they have a problem arise, or a challenge, or whatever it is. They focus specifically on that challenge. But if you focus on finding a solution, you will always come out at the positive end of it.
Absolutely.
And get out of that negative mindset, because a lot of it has to do with, just having that negative mindset.
Absolutely.
And it's like, poor me, and it's, forget about poor me. It's like, right, this is the issue. What do we need to do to get it fixed? Absolutely.
Very cool. Thank you. There's a lot in there, and I know we could probably just keep talking for ages, and you'd still have a lot of value to share with people. To keep it somewhat brief, and I know it's a little bit of a nice segue into the 6 big questions. One of the things that I love most is having conversations that are meaningful with people that I care about. And so I just was so blessed and excited to do this process with you. So thank you. Asking the big questions. Now, first question is, what is the most pressing concern that you see facing people on our planet today?
That's a great question. There's a number of things. I think, look, the problems in general are, we've got social issues, economic issues, political issues. That's just it's society in general. We live in a world that's partly characterised, unfortunately,
Yeah.
by corruption.
Mm.
There's oppression, exploitation, conspiracy, injustice. The world's riddled with division. There's a lot of conflict. There's terrorism. There's distrust. There's a lot of issues in all of those areas, and I think you can't really say one thing, Mel. I think the biggest part is just the distrust. That's why we have conflict. That's why we have terrorism. It's that is that disengagement and not having people on the same page.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you. I like that, the disengagement where we're not all on the same page. Absolutely. Nice segue into the next question. So, what do you think the world does need most right now?
Yep, great. Guidance and clear direction.
Yeah.
I think the world is, or most of the world is hungry for clear direction. There's too much uncertainty in the world at the moment. We need to get back to the core, understand what life is all about, what it really means to be part of society. One of the things that just comes to mind is common courtesy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where's common courtesy gone these days?
Yeah.
It's a real issue. Like I see it just in driving on the road. You see people that are so highly wired that if you want to move into a lane, like they just won't let you in, or they're so set in their negative ways. That any time that someone lets me in or whatever, I wave and give them a thank you.
That's the same thing I do. Yeah.
It's like they get all weird, but it's just common courtesy,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of you go into a whole list of things around business and everything, but I mean, in life in general, I just think sometimes we just need to go back to some basic core principles that we were born with or brought up with at a very young age, and I know that there's a little bit of an age difference between myself and you. But it still goes back to our parents and our grandparents, regardless of age, where common courtesy was something that was instilled in family. It was a family value, and I think that's missed. I really do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I could go really woo-woo and say that there is a place or there is a part of us that are always the same age.
Yep.
But but on obviously our experiences in this physical body, yes, I've got a few more years to catch up on you.
Well, let me tell you, I just turned 50, and I don't feel 50.
Good.
When I look at myself in the mirror, I don't look 50, and I can still run around and enjoy, kicking a ball and whatever with my son. So,
good.
You're only as old as you feel, and I don't feel that old, so I'm okay.
Okay, good. All right, cool, thank you. So next question's a nice meaningful one is, we all share one common fate, and I think this is just my belief. I believe that we can truly face and embrace our death, we can truly live. And so one of the things is, I think it touches on our legacy and what we're here to do. So I'm just curious what you'd like people to say about you when you die.
What a amazingly unbelievable loss that we've just encountered.
Yeah.
No, that I was someone who lived by integrity.
Yeah.
Who genuinely cared for people, continually made a difference in the world by sharing his knowledge and expertise freely without any expectation at all.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Thank you. Appreciate it.
And was a great husband and an unbelievable father.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank you. Next question. What do you love most about what you do?
I love changing people's lives. I love seeing them happy and creating a pathway for their success, specifically for their success, so they can live a more fulfilled and meaningful life. Success is there for everybody to have, just some people can't see it.
Yeah.
Good point. And I generally say that, success is a dream that hasn't been realised yet.
And I like that.
A lot of people have dreams, but they don't do anything with those dreams, and that's, to me, that's what success is. It's a dream that hasn't been realised yet.
A dream that has. That's I'm going to quote Ralph and Anania on that one.
Thanks.
It's gorgeous. I love it. Thank you. Okay, the next question is the number one philosophy that you live your life by.
Look, that's a challenge, because I guess there's two, and I'll share both.
Okay.
The first one, I guess, the real evident one is, you don't get a second chance to create a first impression. I live my life by that. I really do, and that's in everything I do. But I guess even more important than that is never stop learning.
Yeah.
Never stop learning. And like you just said earlier, about age, never put age to it. It's really funny, and I have to share this. Well, it's not funny, but it's great, and I have to share this with you.
Okay.
In one of my programs at the moment, I have a gentleman, husband and wife.
Yeah.
But I have the husband is 83.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
From New Zealand, and a lovely couple. The wife's about 15 years younger than him, but he's 83, and you would not even pick it. And he's just always hungry for knowledge. And Mel, I remember going to a Hillsong Church conference quite a few years ago now, probably about 10 years ago, and there was a pastor from the US by the name of T.D. Jakes, great pastor, full of knowledge, great businessman as well, and he said something that stuck with me, and I'll never forget it. And he said something that his mother used to say to him growing up, and she would say to him, "The world is a university, and everybody in it is a teacher. When you wake up in the morning, be sure you go to school."
That is gold. Yeah.
Meaning you can learn from everybody. And some of my greatest lessons have come from my children.
Wow.
Some of my greatest lessons have come from my children. You see, if you're willing to learn and you've got an open mind, you will learn from people without even knowing. You will learn from people without even knowing, and you've got to have an open mind to do that. So, I think it's
so beautiful.
really...
I'm getting teary. It's good in a good way.
Never stop learning. Yeah.
Never stop learning. Wow, that's really, really powerful. Thank you so much, Ralph. One last question, and that's this is for people watching who, for whatever, they'd love to live their passion, but for whatever reason they haven't started yet. What would your advice be to someone in that position?
Really, and so simply, just start. Just start. It doesn't matter if you haven't got the money. It doesn't matter if you haven't got all the tools. It doesn't matter if you're not as knowledgeable or if you don't have the expertise that people around you have. Start. If you don't start, you'll never grow. And the problem with most people is that they let everything around them stop them from growing.
Absolutely.
And you see, if you try and have all the pieces before you start something, you've got nowhere to grow. You've got nothing to grow on. But if you start, you can continually keep growing and evolving. And you know what? Even if you got it right from day one, that you got everything in place, it would actually limit you from growing because you wouldn't have an open mind.
Absolutely.
So just start. Just start, because your passion will drive you forward.
Absolutely. Thank you. That's interesting. That's a common theme. It's always surprising. That one's been a common theme that's come up for this question, is when we ask that, people saying just start. For someone who they want to just start, but they don't know what that is, or they don't know what they need to do to start, is there anything you could do to help them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The most important part, look, in anything, is if you've got an idea. And a lot of people have got a great idea, so they want to start a business because they've got a great idea.
Yeah.
That's fine, but I will share one thing with you, and that's this.
Yes.
All my problems started out as a good idea.
That's a nice piece of wisdom there.
So, the thing is this. If you've got a great idea and you think it's a great idea, don't ask the people around you that love you and will say yes to everything. Go and do some research. Go and see if the market wants what you have.
Absolutely.
Go and see what competitors you have. Do the research. The more research you do up front, the less financial pressure you'll have at the back end.
Absolutely.
even if somebody has got what you have or the idea that you have that you want to take out to the world, find the niche in that idea. So therefore you're specifically targeting a small niche and become really, really good at that one thing. Then you can evolve from that. But you need to do your research. And next step from that, from the research, is a plan. You must have a plan. Now, a lot of people get overwhelmed with a business plan. And yes, you know, if you're looking at raising capital, well, that's a different business plan as to a business plan of you starting a business.
Yeah.
There are some fundamentals that are required for a business plan that you really need to go through first. And that'll give you the roadmap that you need to get you started, because it'll have clearly identified what needs to be done first, what needs to be done second, and so on and so forth. But without a plan, Mel, you can't start. And it's like getting in a car and not knowing where you want to go.
Yeah.
You can start driving and you'll drive forever, but you'll never ever get there.
Yeah.
But if you know that you're going from A to B, you know what road to take to get there. And the same in business.
Absolutely.
If you know what it is that you want, and you apply the principles of planning, and it doesn't have to be comprehensive, but you do need to do certain things that will guide you to be able to get to where you want to go.
Yeah.
Then that's what you need to do. And a lot of people, I guess, don't know that, and you're right, they don't know where to start. But the very first thing, before anything else, before you even spend any money, research what it is that you want to do.
Yeah.
And you see, with today's global environment and the fact that the world is so close and technology has brought us that way, it's very, very, very difficult to say that you're the only one with this idea, that somebody else hasn't thought of it.
Yeah.
So, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, just do your research, because you may have a niche edge on something that somebody else has already started but haven't thought of it, and you can just expand on it. And that's the beautiful part about, obviously, the technology that we have at our fingertips, is that we're able to take somebody else's idea and find a niche that they haven't thought of and make it better. I mean, that's why we have so many people creating apps these days, because it's an opportunity. So just identify what it is specifically that you want to do, and do the research so you don't go and waste money. You know, it's a lot of people go into it and spend a lot of money, and then they find that it doesn't work, and then they run out of money, and they've got nowhere else to go, and that's where a lot of people get disheartened with owning a business or running a business.
Absolutely, thank you. There's a lot of practical advice and real world wisdom in that, so thank you so much. Well, Ralph, so just so people who want to find out more about you, do you still do your 3-day Boost Your Business event? So for
yes, I do actually. My next one is next week, so I've got one from the 10th to the 12th of July, and then there's another one scheduled for October at this stage. So yeah, I still do 3 a year at this stage, and there are other programs as well that I'm running.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can check it out at www.ralphanania.com. We'll put it at the bottom of the video when we make this live. And yes, absolutely, if you're in Australia and you have the chance to go to the 3-day Boost Your Business, I learned heaps about strategic planning and also about definitely negotiation and those kind of things, which I found very, very useful since then. So it's been very valuable. So I know it'll be very valuable for a lot of SMEs who want to take their business to the next level of success. So thanks, Ralph. I really appreciate you taking the time today. And I know people are going to get a lot of value out of it.
Very welcome, and it's been my pleasure. And as always, thank you as well.
Thank you.